Yep, and that's how it is. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford up the gut of the Southland is a little bit tight from 115th to 103rd. And then Dan Ryan, it starts at about 35th on into Jane Byrne, and you'll be happy after that. Skyway, or you'll be happy up until that. Skyway, Toll Road, Borman, I-65, US 30, Klein Avenue, all moving along in. And what do you have in terms of the weather? Not a bad day yesterday. Got sunny later. Of course, we had some evacuations in Lake Station and so forth, but we'll get to that in a minute. But a high of 40 today, rain and drizzle this morning, and then it'll open up, get some sunshine. Maybe tomorrow, milder, a little morning rain tomorrow and a high of 48. Saturday, mostly cloudy, a little rain and a high of 44. Then by Sunday, you get some mostly sunny and breezy and a high of 45. Count us down there, Christina. You ready? We're on now. Hey, so what's going on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube? All right, there it is. All three of you guys are watching us here in the studio. I'm Jim Deedlow. We had some pretty extensive flood coverage over the last couple of days, so I'm coming in about 35 minutes later than I would normally. And every once in a while we do that. Ryan Walsh holding down the fort. Until then, and we very much appreciate it. We got a busy day today. Mike Reiser of IndianaMat.com. We've got my nephew, Craig Deedlow, stopping by for a little hello on his way in. On his way out to spring training, he was the 9th draft choice for the Chicago White Sox last year, and he'll be stopping in. And then we will have Frank Mervan around 7:35. There's nobody between Reiser and Craig, is there? Jim Slagle, that's right. So Reiser is at 6:30. Slagle's at 6:45, and then Craig's about 7:05. So we got them kind of stacked up today, and we'll get people in there. Yeah, Jim Slagle of Carpenter's Local 599. All right, let's take a look at some of the stuff going on around everywhere. We have been so busy with the flood all week, we haven't really got a chance to talk about much of anything around here since, I don't know, even Monday we were kind of prepping for it. So here it is Thursday already. First of all, it is the 6th anniversary of 6th or 7th, 2012. So 2/22/12. All right, and that was when the preacher died. The preacher, of course, was the afternoon host here, and had been hanging around and just has kind of found a second wind in life, as he was he was kind of a gambler. He'd had a heart attack in Vegas and actually had died for like 3 minutes, they said, and he came back to life and came back to the Calumet region. He had kind of moved around a lot. He grew up in Hessville and wound up back in Hessville. And I'll never forget the first time I met him. It was probably 2003 or something like that, and 2002, 03, and I was doing sports for WJOB a little bit with the Region Sports Network, and they were on WJOB, and so I was doing games, and I was working for the Times while I worked downtown Chicago, so kind of getting my feet wet in the local media scene. And preacher came in, and he had epizootic spray, and he was going on the air, and he had all of these kind of weird, I don't know, props, I guess you would call them. He was going on the air there was an even afternoon show. I can't even remember what it was called. And he had epizootic spray in his hand, and he had like a chart of who the games were coming up on that weekend. I think it might have been fall. And he was just crazy. I'm like, I looked to Ramirez, and I'm like, who is this guy? And it turned out over the years, he became a big part of WJOB, and it was a horrific day when we went over there, and he had called 911 and then hung up, so I knew what that meant. And I was sitting in the office, and I zipped over there, and the doors were locked because this is how he was. So then we had to break in with the police, and it was a sad day. I still can't believe it, to be honest with you. But it's Ryan was just playing some of his stuff. We'll play a little bit more throughout the morning. Why not, huh? All right, what's going on here locally? The big news, of course, is that we didn't flood uh, big time along the Little Cal and the Hart Ditch, but you did have some flood damage as far as Valparaiso and Lake Station. There were some evacuations in Lake Station. According to the Times, residents in at least 35 Lake Station homes threatened by floodwaters were asked to evacuate Wednesday as Deep River continued to rise. The evacuation was not mandatory, but officials strongly recommended it. Firefighters in special water suits had boats on hand in case residents needed to evacuate pets or take items with them. And about 2 to 3 feet of water surrounded some of the homes, and water pooled in many yards around the area. We just keep praying right now that it does not get substantially worse, said one Mayor Anderson, what's Anderson's Lake Station Mayor, Chris Anderson. So we had that going on. Anybody else in this area have some flooding or standing water? You want to call us, 219-845-1100. I saw on Optimist Park over here in Hammond at Columbia and River Drive that the field that is closest to Columbia was basically underwater all the way around the entire outfield yesterday, and then this morning it had receded a little bit, but that was one spot where I didn't realize that it was so low in that area, but you could see the I guess the drooping of the land towards drainage ditch in the outfield. I didn't realize that the outfield was so sloped away from the infield, and it's almost like running downhill after you get past second base and run into the outfield. We didn't get to talk very much about Jamal Washington, our Lake County councilman, who is certainly an embattled Lake County councilman. He is running for Lake County commissioner, I do believe, and turns out that he has some significant sewer fees that he has not paid, and there is some speculation that he might be behind on some of the other stuff. And he just said, hey, it just goes to show you that, and economy is suffering, and it's tough. It's tough to make ends meet. Hey, did you guys see this yesterday? I got this on Facebook, too. Let me see. I'll read what the Griffith police put out yesterday. And basically, a kid brought a gun to school. And let's see, somebody sent, Ryan, was that you that sent that to me? What's that? Yeah, so let me bring this up. And Ryan sent it to me. I don't see it, but I will just here it is. Well, anyways, a student brought a loaded gun in his pocket to Griffith High yesterday, and he let's see, here we go. He brought this 18-year-old kid. He gave up the weapon as soon as he realized it. He had it on him, but evidently he said he had no ill intentions and that he was licensed to carry that gun. And how timed was that? You know what? I want to read what the Griffith police sent. I'll be right back after this from RushRadioSurgery.com.
Rush Radiosurgery deploys revolutionary technology in the fight against prostate cancer in just 5 outpatient treatments. With radiosurgery treatment for prostate cancer, there is no pain, no surgery, and you can go back to your normal activities right after treatment. Prostate cancer does not fight fair, and neither should you. For more information, contact Rush Radiosurgery at 312-942-4600 or visit us at rushradiosurgery.com.
No case is typical. Results will vary by patient, and there's no guarantee other patients will experience these results.
All right, here it is, guys. Griffith police arrested an 18-year-old student at the Griffith Senior High School yesterday. And let's see, that is on Wig Street in Griffith. After the student approached the school resource officer and admitted to having a handgun in his pocket. The student asked the school resource officer if he could, quote, cut him a break, and stated that he had mistakenly brought the loaded gun to school despite having a valid permit to carry the gun. The student asked that he be allowed to secure the gun in his vehicle, which was parked in the school parking lot. School resource officer then took possession of the .380 caliber Glock Model 42 and took the student into custody without incident. The firearm was not brandished or used in any illegal way other than its mere possession by the student on school property, and the student was cooperative. The student was transported to Lake County Jail and pending charges of a felony possession of a handgun on school property. No other information is available at this time until formal charges are accepted by the courts. So you've got a little bit of an ethical dilemma here. And here's part of it. You have a kid, first of all, who came up and said, oh, you went right to the resource officer and told him, hey, I have my gun here. Geez, I forgot I have it in my pocket. He's 18, so how old do you have to be to have a gun permit? 16 or 18? It's 18, are you sure? Will you look that up? Yeah, I don't know if it's 16 or 18, to be honest with you. I think it's 18, but I can't be sure. And so he's got it legally. He forgets it in his pocket, and he goes up to the school resource officer, and he says, hey, you know what? I'm going to tell you right now, I forgot something. I got my pocket. I got my gun, and it's loaded, and I just want to take it out to my car. Do you mind? No, you're arrested, and you're going to jail for a felony. Okay, that is part of it. But and there's a danger aspect. You certainly don't want any kids bringing guns to school. Or do you? Because one of the debates right now is, it's 18. And one of the debates right now is if teachers should be allowed to carry guns to school. And that was part of an amazing, just kind of you couldn't stop watching it last night. The town hall meeting of the high school students from, what are they calling it? Glenn, what's the name of the high school again? That where the 17 kids were shot? In Parkland, Florida. One of the things that Marco Rubio and some of the other politicians who were on stage yesterday had to deal with from the kids was, what are the changes in rules that may be coming forward towards guns? And this may be a seminal moment in gun control discussion, is the Parkland, Florida shooting. Because these kids are not stopping, man. They had a town hall meeting last night on CNN, and I think it must have been on other places. And I'll tell you what, it was very powerful. And one of the things that Rubio talked about was, would it have been different if a teacher had had a gun and was able to pick up that gun and kill that Cruz kid before he killed more people? And that is an interesting question. Very, very much, someone might have been able to shoot the guy and kill him, and then he wouldn't have been able to just kill more kids. So you got to think about that. I think it was universally put down by the politicians, but then you have to extrapolate that to say, well, if a kid's 18 and he is legally, or she legal to carry a gun, has gone through all the proper channels, can he or she carry that gun? The right to bear arms doesn't say everywhere but schools, right? And if a kid had had a gun, one of the students who was 18, could that have slowed things down? Now, this kid at Griffith High brought his situation to the attention of the school resource officer, who immediately arrests him, and they cart him out to Lake County Jail. So did he make an honest mistake? Ooh, I brought my gun on, and I normally keep it in my car. Is he allowed to keep it in his car? I don't know. I don't even know. Is that? Can you keep a gun in your car at school? I don't know. Anyways, what do you guys think about this? There's a lot of issues right now that involve kids and guns, or young people and guns, teachers and guns, and school shootings. I mean, what's the proper way to keep schools safe? I don't know the answer to this. Maybe Bob does. Bob, how are you this morning?
Doing very well. I don't have the answer to anything, Jim. But I was gonna point out kind of like the kid actually did the right thing. He walked up to the cop. It sounds like, well, first of all, he was legal. He was licensed. He realized that he had made a mistake, so he went up to the cop, said, "Hey, this is what's going on. Just want to correct this situation." And this kid's going to face a felony, potential felony. But you got some of these characters here in Lake County who have gotten multiple DUIs that nothing happens to.
Well, I don't know. You know what? Keep it to the gun issue. I mean, that's a whole.
Well, no. It has to be. You can't just focus on one thing here, Jimmy. Okay, just on the gun. I don't know exactly what the law is. I'm sure he's not supposed to have a gun in the school. I would assume that that's the law. But he did the right thing. And if he actually did the right thing, and this poor kid is going to have a felony around his neck for the rest of his life, you talk about a GoFundMe. I don't even know what the hell that is, but I got a few bucks for this kid.
Well, here's the deal.
And in the perspective, Jimmy, let me finish. In the perspective, you got some hacks, some political hacks, I'm going to keep it clean. Some people in this area that, because of their perceived stature, are getting DUIs and walking away from them, and nothing happens to them. I don't know, Jimmy. I'm sorry, but this justice system is getting way out of line here in the sense of what's punishable, what isn't, who do you know, who don't you know. This poor kid has a felony hung around his neck for the rest of his life for doing the right thing. I don't know.
It's a tough one.
Clowns running around in Gary and East Chicago shooting up houses. And you got a kid that's actually licensed, legal, makes a mistake, immediately cops to it, and he faces a felony.
All right, Bob. Thanks a lot, buddy.
You got the FBI chasing down people, shooting girls on their front porches. Takes some years to find gangbangers that are running around with guns. A person does the right thing and he gets a felony hung on him. Ain't right.
Thanks, buddy. Talk to you. 219-845-1100. Fernando, what do you think about this case?
Hey, Jim, how's it going?
I'm doing all right. What's up?
Now, the guy, we know that he had a license for it?
He's licensed, according to the missive that was put out by the Griffith police. The kid had a license for it.
Okay. Well, I think, obviously he shouldn't have took it to school, but I think he should have, if he knew he had it, why are you going to the police? Just go to the car and either put it in your car or leave it at home and stay home. I was sick. I felt bad or whatever in case someone asks you, or you just don't show up to school.
Well, I think if Griffith and Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan went to Griffith, you can't just walk to your car in the middle of the day, can you? Yeah, I mean, you got to...
I will if I have a gun, and I'm not going to go to the cops, especially after everything is going on. Hey, you know what? I got a gun here.
Okay, all right. How about this one? How about this one? You're walking out to your car, you're not supposed to be. Maybe the alarm goes off or something on the school or whatever, and people see you just walking out to your car, and then they see you picking a gun out of your pocket. And you haven't told anyone. I mean, it's a tough. The guy made a mistake by bringing the gun, but from what I understand, I just asked the question. I got a text from someone who might know. They're saying you can't have a gun on school grounds, even in your car. So it might not have mattered.
Then just go home. Don't bring it. I mean, get in your car, drive away. Deal with, hey, you shouldn't have left the school yesterday. Yeah, oh well, the alarm went off. Okay, so hey, sue me. That's better off than, hey, cop, guess what? All these shootings and it's really bad right now. And the whole thing is in the news about these kids getting shot. I have a gun. That was stupid. That was just stupid. I just leave a school, walk home if you do not or get in your car and drive home, or whatever the case may be. But I think it was dumb to go to the cops, say, I have a gun. I shouldn't have a gun here, or whatever.
What do you think? Did you get to see any of the town hall meeting with the kids from Parkland, Florida last night?
I saw some of it, and I think it's stupid that, I don't know if Marco Rubio said it, but I know the president said it about arming 6 teachers in every school in the country and making sure that they're armed in case this happens again.
And that's one of the. What do you think about that idea?
That's pure stupidity from a stupid president. That's really stupid. That's not going to help. You already have officers in most schools. Some of them have guns, I guess. I don't know, but I mean, it's not going to help. I mean, I went to Westside High School. If one of the teachers had a gun there, how do they know that on the other side of the school someone's shooting? Will they get there on time? Or, I mean, are they going to want to even try to figure out where the gunfire is coming from? How are they going to know? When they shoot, are they going to kill a few kids? Maybe they shoot the wrong kid. If they could even identify who's doing the shooting.
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things that came up when this rule or the teachers having guns was brought up was one of the teachers said, you know, what kind of catastrophe could have happened if the SWAT team ran in and there I was holding a gun, and in the confusion I got shot in another tragedy. And
exactly,
because the woman brought up, she goes, you know, the first thing that these guys, the police said when they ran in, does anyone have a gun? And that was the first question. So in all of the confusion, she felt as if she might have been at danger. But you know, why do you say it's a stupid president, Fernando?
Because he has stupid ideas, stupid ways of going about doing things, and this is another stupid idea. And I think he's trying to still legitimize, you know, the whole gun issue in his point of view by saying, well, let's put more guns out. This will take care of the problem. And I think that's just stupid.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. I'm going to take Brian and Mad Mac, and then we're going to go to Mike Reiser and talk a little wrestling. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hello. 2 things. Florida has a stand your ground state, and as far as legal gun carrying, you have to have an attached lockbox in the car.
Okay. The stand your ground, I understand a little bit, and I understand the attached to lockbox, which you have to have in Indiana even, right?
Well, anybody with more than one state license has to have it, too, so they can travel.
So here's the deal. The question is, you can't have a gun in Griffith High School, but can you have a gun in Griffith parking lot?
Knowledge is evil, and also good. So I would say educate the children, educate the students, educate anybody that wants a gun. And if you do something stupid, you're liable to go dead. So
let me ask you this. Do you think that an 18-year-old who is licensed, is taking the classes, has had the background check, is a responsible gun owner, should he be able to carry his gun at school at Griffith High School?
I honestly don't believe that's a good idea for way too many reasons. Somebody's going to always know.
Okay, so where do you draw the line? Is it just at the door of the school, or
education?
Okay, but education still has to have a practical application. And the practical application in your mind, is that kid all right if he's carrying that gun in his car during school hours?
Well, as long as it's in the car, nobody knows. But again, the fixed lockbox will give him away.
Exactly. The lockbox will give him away, so everybody could know. That's not part of the ethical dilemma here. That kid has that kid has a gun in his car because he doesn't want to drive around, or he's going somewhere and he wants to have his gun after school. Does he have to go back home, pick it up after school, and then go to his job? I mean, there's a lot of questions about this. And second of all, if he made a mistake and went to the school resource officer, should he still be held liable for a level 6 felony?
That's Dalvin could go a long way in the courts, and I hope he succeeds. He meant to do the right thing, but, a child of 18's brain is not completely developed.
You got it, man. Thanks a lot, Brian. Good hearing from you.
All right.
Hey, let's talk to Mad Mac. Mad Mac, what do you think about this? Aren't you a Griffith guy?
Kinda. That school cannot shoot itself in the foot more times. I can't wait till the new superintendent coming in there, along with the head of the school board, dismantles the entire intellectual miniature folks over there. I hope the judge just rips these guys to shreds. Okay. How many politicians you want me to name that get off the hook? Hey, you dumb dog. Excuse me there. Sorry about that. Yeah, get off the hook doing anything they want. They get DWIs. They beat their wives, their nieces. They steal, they pilfer, and they get nothing. And then we're going to get vote these people in office. So let's go back to Fernando, Mr. Stupidity, regarding facts. Let's check out the country of Israel. They got bombings going all over the place, and they've got massacres in the schools. They changed their law. They armed the teachers.
Hey, Mad Mac, let me ask you a question. Do you think hold on a second. Slow down. Do you think you're going to talk? Hold on. Stop for a second. Do you think you're going to talk? You think you're going to talk for a minute? Yeah, you're going to talk for a minute. I'm going to let you talk for about a minute, and I'm going to go to the washroom, and I'll listen to it, but I have to go right now, and I want to hear what you have to say. And then Ryan's going to take you. Then Ryan's going to go to a spot. So you got a minute. Go.
Hey, you have fun, Jimmy, and make sure you wash those mitts, because last time I heard the donuts came out looking a little different. So, but anyway, let's go back to what happens in the state of Israel. They had massacres going on. The Arabs were attempting to kill them, as is written in the Quran. That's what they want to do. We all know that. And it happened many times in the schools. They armed the teachers. They haven't had a child killed in a school like in 16 years, something like that. They put up the fence. They put up the wall. The suicide bombings virtually came to a grinding halt. I think there's 13 states or 12 states, United States of America. They implemented conceal and carry. The murder rate in every single one of those states went down for a minimum of 14 years. Now, should a child be able to take a gun to school? You have to be kidding me. They can't figure out what kind of underwear they're supposed to put on before they walk out the door. This kid got his license. I understand. He walks in and says, I made a mistake. The officer should take him, put him in a headlock, give him a shot to the noggin and go, champ, listen, get in your car, take that thing home, get back here, and we don't know anything that happened. I hope they literally take these guys to task for what happened there, because this is just, and by the way, in the city of Chicago, 23 people killed in the last 3 weekends. Does anybody even know who they are?
All right,
no one
Mac,
mentioned their name.
We're going to move on. We got wrestling stuff. Thanks, Mac.
Adios.
See ya.
Go Texas Tech.
Carpenters Local 599 joins with other Carpenter locals to build the local economy and has been doing so for over 117 years. We are proud to be a member of the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters, which is threefold: training, professionalism, and partnership. We also offer some of the best benefits in the industry. To find out how to become a member of Carpenters Local 599, contact us at 219-942-0518 or log on to ikorcc.com.
What gets you fired up when you think about college? Explore your roar at Purdue University Northwest. With 2 exciting campuses in Hammond and Westville, more than 70 areas of study, and NCAA Division II athletics, Purdue Northwest offers it all at an excellent value. Learn more at pnw.edu and apply today. That's pnw.edu. Join the pride at Purdue Northwest.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks a lot to Ryan for monitoring that. Every once in a while, you just gotta go. And I had already drank 2 teas this morning, so you know what? I thought that was as good a time as any. And I've got a busy hour and a half ahead of us, so let's move right on to take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford's got a little tight spot, 113th to 103rd. And the Dan Ryan is moving a little bit slower than normal all the way up, but not necessarily stop and go, just kind of heavy. And the Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65, US 30, Klein Avenue, hey, it's all moving along pretty well. I got to drive to Indianapolis tomorrow evening, and I will be going through that gauntlet of construction between, I think it's Route 2 and Route 10 in that area. It's about 10 miles long. And they're doing a great job moving that along, and it's really going to look nice. There's 2 major lane shifts in there. If you're going down I-65, I think one of them's over Route 2, and then another one's, I should have paid better attention. I was just looking at the roadway. It's 2 very big lane shifts right at bridges that you really got to be concerned about. But they're moving along on that. They've actually even been doing some work over the winter, and it's going to be pretty cool at 3 lanes all the way through that area. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving NWI from Torrance Avenue. Let's take a look at what's going on with the weather today, brought to you by our good friends at Laborers Local 41, of which I am a proud alum. Rain and drizzle this morning, a high of 40. Right now it's 32 degrees here at WJOB Strachan Van Til Studios. It's 32 at Local 599 Carpenters across the city, and it is 32 at Local 395 in Portage. Tomorrow, milder, a little morning rain and a high of 48, and then Saturday, a high of 44, a little rain then too. So get some gray days on Friday and Saturday. Today, you might get some sunshine later in the afternoon. Friday, tomorrow, a little bit, if you're on the southern end of our listening area, it might get some sunshine. A little bit more to the north, it might stay cloudy. And then by Sunday, everybody gets some sunshine and a high of 45. Hey, speaking of going downstate, in Indianapolis, Mike Reiser has been taking us all the way through the wrestling throughout the year. Mike, state finals are over. Do you get to take a break now?
Yeah, a little bit. We're starting to prep for some off-season stuff, but I got about, 2 or 3 weeks off where now I get to focus on my daughters playing softball, which is always a good time.
Mike Reiser, the pride of Calumet High back then, has been calling us throughout the tournament, and we just had our state finals over the weekend, and it was pretty exciting. Where do you want to start, Mike?
We can start at 106, kind of work through some of the weights, cover the region, guys, if you want to do it like that.
Yes, I do. Let's go to 106.
Yeah, we had the state champ come from our area, Jacob Moran of Portage. He lost to the semi-state rebounding and won a state title, so Portage, kind of kicked off the tournament. In a good style. Giovanni Diaz of Wheeler with ace. I'm sure a little bit disappointed since he had beat Moran the week before, but it was Moran's show. He kind of dominated the entire weekend. He looked really good.
So
113.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Moreno and Diaz had really good quarterfinal matches. Both losing to super tough guys, the guys that were under the lights. Moreno lost from Lowell. 18-14 to AJ Black of Newcastle, and Diaz lost to Brayton Curtis, the returning state champ, 2-1. So they ended up 7th and 8th. They rematched for about the 4th time in the state series. So Moreno won that one. So he'll be back next year. He's only a junior. Diaz will go on to wrestle at Franklin and Marshall. 120. 120, kind of a tough spot for the region. Highly ranked Tyler Triano lost Friday night. He was an upset guy of Hobart, and which happens down there. That's part of it. Single elimination. There's always a ton of upsets, and there's a lot of upsets this year Friday night, not only from our area but around the state. Brock Keel is the top finisher for the area in that weight for the region. He took 7th. I'm sure he was disappointed. He was 4th last year. I know he was thinking state championship.
And
126, another. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did Pointer do at 126?
Tough break for Colin Pointer. Opening match, got in a scramble where they were trying to fight for position. He hit his head on the mat, was knocked out completely. He had an injury to fault out. He tried to get up and go, and his legs just went under him. So definitely a tough way to end a career. But he'll be wrestling at Air Force forward. But, that kind of not to put it on one guy, but that was a guy, they had going to the semi. I had him in the finals in my pick'ems. He, tough break for Collins. You want to at least be able to compete. If you're going to lose, you want to be able to lose on the mat, not lose because of injury.
Yikes, I did not know that he had gotten hurt like that. What about 132?
132. No, we didn't have any region guys represented. Good matches downstate by a lot of southern guys, so nobody from the region made it at 132.
138?
Got another Portage State champ, Chris Rumpf. Got it done. He had been the state semifinals 2 years in a row. Was a runner-up last year to Black. Wrestled a great tournament. Actually, on the boards, a lot of people are picking him for the most impressive of the weekend. Just looked amazing. He's a guy that's unsigned. I think someone's going to get a real gem when they get him on a college roster because I think he's still pretty raw. And I just don't think you get athletes like that. He's ridiculous.
Wow, he's unsigned at this point? That's kind of surprising.
Yeah, some universities save some of their scholarship money, especially a lot of Division I guys, for after the state tournament. Like last year, Michael De La Pena from Maryville, he signed with IU after the state tournament. So I'm sure they're going to, get him some money somewhere because whoever's going to get that kid is ridiculous. That kid's really good.
145?
145. Another kind of heartbreaking loss for the Portage Indians. Casper McIntosh, nationally ranked. He's going to Minnesota. Ranked number 1 all year. He lost in the state quarterfinals 1-0 to the guy that ended up being a state champ, Jordan Slivka.
Wow, that's a surprise.
Yeah, just one of those things. He couldn't get away, and Slivka's one of the top leg riders in the state. He's really good on the top position, and he won actually the state championship match 1-0 also.
Yeah, those are like watching a baseball shutout. Those 1-0s. What do you got? 152.
152. Two region guys did pretty well. Donnell Washington, he had that tough draw we talked last week of Portage. He drew Brayton Lee, the number 1 kid in the country at 152 pounds. Brayton Lee is ridiculous. I don't know if you guys got a chance to view it out. He tech-falled his way to the state finals. So every match, he tech-falled Donnell Washington, tech-falled Corbin Paulett from Columbus East, tech-falled the kid in the championship, Elliot Rogers. Tech-falled this kid Friday night, which is basically your slaughter rule. He beat everyone like 20-5, essentially.
Those are. It's much more exciting to watch 1-0s. Put it that way. Let's go to 160.
Yeah, and also 152. Noah Lamore ended up third, finishing out his career for the Crown Point Bulldogs.
Okay, what do we got at 160?
Another Friday night upset for the region. Diego Lemley, last year's your state runner-up, lost Friday night to Brooks Davis from Perry Meridian. Kind of a surprising, a lot of people penciled Diego in for Under the Lights. He kind of had a tough quarterfinal, but really a shocking result. Oscar Cash of Crown Point got upset in the quarter. It's not an upset. He had just a real tough one in the quarterfinals. He ended up coming back and taking 5th. He'll continue his career wrestling at Campbell University.
And that's at 160. What do you got at 170?
170, we had 2 region wrestlers do pretty well. Cody Crary, a lot of injuries this year, kind of worked his way through the state tournament. Didn't have a ton of matches. He was 13-3. Made his way all the way to state semifinals. He lost to the eventual state champ. And then Zach Vitor got kind of hosed on a call. He was beating a kid from Peru and went to go turn him, and they called it defensive fall. Real quick defensive fall. A lot of people were posting on their social media, their Twitter, and saying this isn't a fall. But I don't think you could say enough about that kid. Took it like a champ, didn't throw a fit, which it was a terrible call. It was an awful call. And didn't throw a fit, went back out, drilled with the kid that beat him for the championship, Jordan Rader. I think he's just a different kind of kid. He's a special kid. He's a real smart kid. I think he took it better than a lot of adults would have took it.
All right, what do we have at 182? No, we didn't have anybody in the finals at that, did we?
No, we didn't. Cade Gergenti of Chesterton, I think, was our only medalist. We had 2 guys lose Friday night. Jeremy Torres lost Friday night. But Cade Gergenti ended up taking 6th for Chesterton. So he had a nice run, nice senior year. He's also unsigned, so I'm sure someone will be able to sign him up and get a nice pickup. We also had Jamari. I heard you guys had Jamari on the show.
Yes.
I thought he did a really nice job, yeah. He lost Friday night, a tough one, you know. You just kind of, sometimes you run into tough matchups. You lost the guy that took third.
So Jamari was here last Friday, and he's got some pretty good grades over here at Gavitt High School, and he was on his way. They actually had a bus going down of Gavitt wrestlers that were going down on Friday. So they tried to show everybody what it's like to go downstate and give them a little motivation. Lucas Davidson, 195, how do you do?
State champion, my man, state champion. Finished the season undefeated. Had a tough one in the semifinals against Thomas Pinola of Zionsville. But other than that, he dominated the tournament. That should have been the championship. It's an unseeded thing. It's a blind draw, so you wish you could have seen that under the lights because it was such a good match. But finished it out with a state championship. He was a runner-up and a champ. His brother was a champ at that weight last year. A.J. Fowler lost Friday night to the kid that gave Davidson a pretty good match, 7-5 overtime. But A.J. lost to him by fall. But A.J. will be back another year.
A.J. Fowler from Calumet is a junior. Lucas Davidson is the younger brother of, what's the other Davidson that's at Michigan? Andrew. And where's Lucas going?
He's going to go to Northwestern next year, so he'll be in the Big Ten, getting a pretty good education.
All right, let's go on to 220. Anything local?
Yeah, Brandon Struck, Rudy, he took it to the state championship match, losing to a monster, you know. Like we said about Brayton Lee, Mason Paris of Lawrenceburg, he'll be wrestling at Michigan next year also. He recorded falls in 127, 46, 352, and he also pinned Brandon in the finals. But it was definitely a big accomplishment for Brandon to get there, you know.
Yeah, right out of Maryville. He's a senior also. Any idea where he's headed?
He wears a Purdue headgear. His brother's at Purdue, so I'm guessing he wants to go to Purdue, but I don't know if he's signed yet.
Let's go to 285, the final one.
Eli Picorni of Chesterton won the state title in a rematch of the semi-state with Isaiah McWilliams.
Which is what you predicted, right? Picorni and McWilliams might see each other again.
Yeah, good match. It was an overtime match. That we got to see it at the semi-state, and it was a 3-1 match. And then McWilliams kind of made some adjustments, got it to overtime, but Eli's just an animal. He pinned his way to the state finals, too. He was 137, 246, 145 of all falls, and he's coming back next year. I know he has some college prospects on the list, but whoever picks up Eli Picorni is getting a real good heavyweight.
We're talking to Mike Reiser. We're talking to Mike Reiser of IndianaMat.com. Mike, you've done a great job all the way through the tournament. I've gotten so many comments and emails and texts from people that you know your stuff, and we very much appreciated you following us all the way through the sectionals, all the way up to the state finals. Mike, right now, these kids finish up the season. What do they do besides eat?
Yeah, I mean, some guys are going to be eating. They're going to have some stuff coming up. They threw together a freshman-sophomore state last year, so some of the younger guys are going to be able to compete in that. And that's kind of where A.J. Fowler of Calumet got to really break in the scene last year. He won that. So that's something new for the younger guys. And they're going to do some what's the equivalent to AAU? It's called ISWA, which is Keith Davis and Lucas's dad's actually the president of that. So they'll have, different styles to try to get ready for nationals. And actually, Indiana Mat this year is hosting the Dream Team. So they're going to take the 13 best wrestlers from across the country per weight class, minus 106. You don't get a lot of seniors. And they're going to bring them to Brownsburg High School, and they're going to compete against the 13 best Indiana seniors, which is a pretty cool event. It's been hosted in Illinois, Iowa, Pennsylvania, but this year we got it, and they're trying to secure all the wrestlers right now, so they're trying to get a bunch of region guys on that. So that'll be in April. I think the second week of April they're going to have that at Brownsburg, and it's going to be a really cool event for Indiana.
All right, well, make sure you preview it for us once we figure out which region wrestlers are on that. Mike, thank you so much for all that you've done for wrestling through this whole state tournament.
Hey, thank you guys for giving me the platform and the opportunity to come on and talk about it. Without you guys, I'm just a guy talking,
Hey, not really. You're on IndianaMat.com. A lot of people know who you are. Mike, thanks a lot. Talk to you.
All right, bud. Thanks.
6:52 in the Calumet region. Slagle's in the house. Let's be right back.
When you're in the dark, where do you turn to find a trusted professional who can assure the safety of your home or business electrical system? Certified Electrician is here to help. Looking for a highly skilled electrical contractor for your next construction project? CertifiedElectrician.com is where to find one. We connect you with pre-screened electrical professionals living right here in Northwest Indiana. Experts in residential, commercial, voice data video, and signage. Certified Electrician can fulfill all your electrical needs. Visit CertifiedElectrician.com.
Do you have a family history of heart disease or diabetes? St. Catherine Hospital Cardiovascular Prevention Center providers are offering free assessments to help determine your risk for heart disease and other related medical conditions. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 9 to 11:30 a.m., you can stop by the center at 7217 Indianapolis Boulevard in Hammond for assessments like an ABI leg circulation test, blood pressure, body mass index, random glucose assessment, and more. You must be 18 or older, and walk-ins are welcome. You have only one body. Let St. Catherine Hospital of Community Healthcare System help you take care of it. You can also call 219-392-7CVP to book an appointment today.
Hey, what's going on? AM 1230, WJOB 654 in the Calumet region. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region, hanging out with you guys. Finally, we got through the flood, and you got to take a breath. You know, we got to catch up on some things, and one of those was high school wrestling state finals. Hey, congratulations to all the kids who competed in this. We had Jamari Washington? Yeah, Jamari Washington on Friday. I was glad to meet that young man. He's looking at going to Wabash. He's got a 3.5 over here at Gavitt, and he was the first Gavitt state qualifier since 2000, so it's been 18 years. Who was it in 2000? Who was it in 2000? Anybody remember who that was, the Gavitt qualifier? Text me to 219-845-1100. Also, we have the swimming finals coming up this weekend. Ryan, I would love to get somebody to run through that tomorrow morning if we can find. If you guys know somebody that can run through the swimming finals in about 10 minutes for us tomorrow, we're loaded. Get a hold of Ryan at WJOB1230.com. We just have not covered as much on the swimming, but really what it is if somebody brings us and says, hey, we have an off sport, and maybe it's not basketball or football or baseball or softball or anything like that, but can you get it some coverage? You guys got to bring it to us, and that's how that works. Ryan, what? Okay, Foley won? Okay, so we're going into the boys' finals this weekend, correct? So somebody that might be able to run through the girls real quick, and then the boys, we're looking for that. And just get a hold of Ryan at WJOB1230.com. Let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks pretty good. The Bishop Ford's actually not bad. Got a little tight spot, 113th, 115th, 103rd. A little bit heavy on the southern end of Dan Ryan, but moving. As you get to Jane Byrne, it's not all that great. 35th on in. Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65, US 30, Klein Avenue, all moving along pretty well. Traffic brought to you by Napleton, River Oaks Honda. Weather this morning brought to you by Carpenter's Local, 599, right across the city here in Hammond. They've been here since the 1800s, believe it or not. High of 40, rain and drizzle this morning. And then tomorrow, a high of 48. And then tomorrow, Saturday, tomorrow 48, and then Saturday, high of 44, Sunday 45. Kind of a little bit rainy this morning, a little bit rainy Friday and Saturday morning. And then by Sunday, you got a full day of sunshine. That is brought to you, like I said, by Local 599. Markets up just a little bit overnight. And we've got a text from Dan Repay about the river, so let me take a look at it. As Ryan says to make sure to look at my phone. And new closure overnight, Georgia Street and Gary between 33rd and the Expressway. Jim Slagles with Local 599. So I asked him just stop by on his way to work once in a while. Slagle, how you doing?
Pretty good, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Tough week on the rain, man. Crazy stuff around here, you know?
Yeah, I know. 2006 when Highland had that big flood, that my neighborhood was right in the epicenter of that. So every time it rains, it gets a little, have a little angst,
We all have. I mean, there's a lot of angst, man. There was a big angst going on Tuesday. And then, I was just trying to calm people down because I was talking to Repay, I don't know, every hour almost. And he's like, hey, I think we're going to be all right. And then we had all the Chicago media down here just saying, oh, my gosh, the sky is falling. and it really whipped people into a frenzy. We got to be vigilant, but in the end, we also have to understand that we're all prepared and we're ready to go, and just everybody's driving around with that angst, man. I hate seeing that.
And then you get some callers calling in saying, "Oh, this is just a normal storm." It really wasn't. I mean, with the frozen ground and all that, it's just crazy to think that that's a normal 2-inch rainfall. And if you live through it, an inch of rain makes you worried. If some pump can go out, it's devastating when you lose that stuff. Your dad lived through it. I lived through it. It's devastating. And for people to call be flippant about, "Oh, that's nothing," just because we watched it and we cared. Thank God nothing happened this time.
I think it was Dave from Crown Point and Deb from St. Cherville or Dyer. Deb from Dyer. They called in and they weren't real happy that it's just a little bit of a rain, and here we are all freaking out, and the river's all the way to the top, so is Hart Ditch. What happens when we get a real rain? And they have a point there that we could get bigger rains at times, but it was kind of abnormal weather conditions that kind of contributed to this. And 16 inches of snow on the ground was basically it.
You can't predict that kind of snowfall and then that quick of a melt. It's just impossible.
And I'll tell you what, man, some of these tubs, and they look like big bathtubs full of Hart Ditch and the Little Kell and Deep River, all of those, man. You're just like, wow, where did all this water come from? And it's just crazy how high they got. And I was out there, I don't know, almost overnight the night before. I came in a little late this morning, folks. I just couldn't push out of bed. I got like 3 hours the night before. And it was a little bit touch and go because you just don't know how much is going to come. If it's just the same level, you're fine. But, man, at some point it could just pop up. And so the angst this week has been high.
And the point is, too, how do you know if the changes that they've made didn't prevent it this time? You know what I mean? So
no doubt they did, to be honest with you. If you were out there and you saw what was going on within those walls that they've built, there's no doubt we would have had a flood of some sort if we hadn't done the things. But the issue, I think even Bill Baker comes in here. He's been on it from the beginning. He says, you know what? There's only so much, 10 pounds of, 10, I don't forget how
5
he
pounds
said.
of potatoes in a 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound sack.
Yeah, you can't do. I mean, that's just you can only build the walls so high and the bridges so high, and the next thing you know, we just we gotta just hope.
Yep.
And that's going on. Jim Slagle's with 599. They're right across the city here. They're a huge sponsor here. I want to thank all of the trades that have stepped forward to sponsor what we're doing here. And I just can't say how appreciative I am of that. And they're getting a pretty good value on getting the word out about their unions. Any other unions that want to step forward, all you got to do is give me a call. I take care of the unions specifically. Nobody else in the office does. And, of course, I'm a former laborer. And I had a discussion with Randy Palmatier the other day about which craft most of the superintendents come out of. And you know what he said? Carpenters. And then you know what? I just remember being on a couple of jobs where they were laborers that had turned into superintendents. But now that I think about it, carpenters is almost, it's across the board almost.
I would say in the buildings, it's mostly carpenters. If you get out there into the civil work, there's laborers because, they're more intricately involved. But with the carpenters, our trade is so diverse. I mean, we've actually done from the footers up. We are involved in every aspect of that, so it does lend itself well to moving up to the superintendent rigs.
You're not going to come out and say, well, it's the carpenters because we're just like naturally more intelligent and more capable. That's not part of that argument.
Well, you know what I believe. I just don't want to.
Only the smart guys coming out of high school and hanging around going to carpenters. That of course is not true. Hey man, you guys are here in Hammond for how long now?
Since 1899.
Yeah, and I gotta believe that of all the people I deal with, I deal with Pete Naw over here at Hammond Machine Works. He's been a long time. There's some other companies at Strachan Van Til Markets right behind you on the big sign right behind you. You guys might be the oldest ones that I deal with. I can't think of institution that's been in Hammond longer that's still around.
That'd probably be pretty tough the way times change and things happen, and businesses, especially back in the early days, were mostly family businesses, and sometimes family doesn't want to take them over. But yeah, I bet you we are one of the oldest,
and maybe the oldest, to be honest. What is the oldest institution still in Hammond? Maybe the Carpenters Local 599.
Be interesting to find out.
Now you're out of the new Maryville office, right?
Yes, our administration office is in Maryville.
Yeah, and tell people about that facility. We've all seen it, man, and how'd that come about and how big it is and stuff.
Well, over the past few years, we've made an asserted effort in the Carpenters to be more visual. You know where our hall is over there, right by Hammond High. You could talk to those high school students over there, and they don't even know that's a Carpenters Hall next door. But I'll bet you everybody knows that's the Carpenters Administration and Training Center out there on 65. So we've been making an asserted effort to upgrade our training facilities and upgrade our administration facilities and put them on high-profile places. If you drive down 65, you see us now. In Greenwood, you see our headquarters. And then in Louisville, it's not on 65, but you can see it from 65. It's on whatever that highway is that goes around Louisville there. So that's what that's all about. Plus, we had outgrown our training center over here in Hobart. We train hundreds, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of hours we put in training for our members, our apprentices, and our journeymen. And we're training there day and night almost every week. So we needed a bigger facility so we could upgrade our training. We have this training, this ICRA training that we use inside the hospitals, which we train all of our members into a 32-hour class, which teaches them how to install and protect the patients, the staff, and the visitors that come in from the construction debris and any kind of pollutants that could get in the air from the construction. And then we also train the facilities, their people, and all the other trades in an 8-hour awareness, so they know what to look for. And it's working out really, really well. We got a bunch of hospitals in town now that put it, or in the area that put it in their specs, and that just shows their commitment to protecting their patients, staff, and visitors to make sure that when you come in there, if you come in there sick, you don't get sicker. If you come in there healthy, you stay healthy when you leave.
A lot of hospital work around here over the last few years.
Oh yeah, we got brand new one going up in Michigan City. They're putting a new one up there in Crown Point. So yeah, there's a bunch of work, and they're always remodeling these hospitals. I don't think Munster Community has ever stopped from the day it was built. They were putting an addition or remodeling before it was completed.
And as you guys know, we're sitting here in studios at the Purdue Northwest Commercialization Center. That we had some carpenters out here. Union Carpenter, it's a union-built studios. Not a lot of high-tech studios are union-built, and those guys got a little bit tired of me standing over them as a former trade guy, just making sure that they were doing it exactly like I wanted. Not so much the carpenters, the electricians. I finally got word, like, JED, just don't stand there watching them and telling them what to do. They know their job. But, hey, you know what? So I know their job, too. So I wanted to make sure it was done. We were actually across the way, as you remember. So I was on site all day long while they were building our studios. So I know every little nook and cranny of this. And it was Ken, I think I get the electricians. Electricians don't like when you stand over them, watching them, pointing, why are you doing that and why are you doing this? So
I think most tradesmen don't appreciate people standing over them. We call it bird dogging.
I was bird dogging them, and I'm like, you know what? This is going to be a studio that's going to be here for a long time. Purdue's using it. We're using it. Speaking of which, Purdue's up at 8 o'clock today. Hey, I just asked Slago. Slago's going to be stopping by on the way, just kind of keeping us updated. But, Slago, I have a very specific question. 231 and I-65, there's a lot of talk about a big project there. Where is that thing, or what is it?
It's going to be a big outlet mall. It's a very large project. I don't remember if it's northeast or northwest. I think it's got to be northwest corner of I-65. They're talking about 80 to 100 outlet stores, bowling alley, hotel. I mean, it's going to be a very large project. It should be really good if it comes to the community. As long as we can get out there and make sure that local area standard contractors and local people get to build it, we'll be in good shape. It'll be, very prosperous for the economy around here.
What else going on right now in terms of big work?
I got those hospitals going on, Crown Point and
Michigan City, that's a big one, man.
It is a big one. It's a
Yeah.
big one. And they're hanging the drywall in there, starting to do some finishes. So it's coming along pretty good. It was brought to my attention about the YMCA here in Hammond, and we're here in Hammond, and I just want to let everybody know that they're trying to raise money right now for an addition and a remodel. And I'm reaching out to my members that live in Hammond to see if I can get them active in that, so we can make sure that when that comes to happen, that we get area standard contractors and local guys to work on that too. We help with their fundraising. We hope that we can get local guys on that job.
And I was over there, talked to Dave Mays and talked to Lynette McDermott the other day, and Ryan has them scheduled soon, correct? Dave Mays and Lynette McDermott of YMCA, and I don't know if all of the details are out, and I think they were going to put it out, but they've been. I think I'll just give the numbers, and then I'll let them tell who gave them the money and stuff. But basically, they've got $2 million, and they got to raise the other $1 million. And they got to do it kind of in a short period. And I went over there to look at it. It's right around the corner from us here. And they already have a lot of the stuff put up that they want to build, and they can't start building until they get that last $1 million. They're moved on it, and they've got some, but it's kind of a last turnaround. And a lot of times people will give into something like that may have grown up in this area and have gone there as kids or send their kids there or are associated with the Y somewhere else. But also, it's easier to give when you know that they only really need to read it to bring up a third of it. And I saw their plans; they're big plans, man. That's a big turnaround for YMCA.
And a lot of people use it. It's a great facility. It really does help out the community. So it's a good cause.
Hey, Jim Slago is going to stop around, just kind of like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. He's on his way in there. Mirko Meritz is going to stop by. I started thinking about all these people that are around here locally. I'm like, well, why don't they just stop by on their way to work? And so we'll see you again soon there, Slagle.
All right, dilly dilly.
All right, thanks a lot. He was waiting all that time to say that. Speaking of dilly dilly, let's talk to Spike's Lakeside, huh?
As the preacher once said, the best kept secret in Lake County, Spike's Lakeside Inn 2. Restaurant and bar, Cherville, Indiana. Serving seafood at its finest. Lenten specials, also full sandwich and dinner menu. Homemade soups with full salad bar. For your adult dining in a comfortable atmosphere, come join us at Spike's Lakeside 2. Located at 21 East Joliet Street, Cherville, Indiana. Next to the police station, across from Town Hall. For reservations, call 322-4444. Serving Thursday through Sunday. Remember, 25% off your dining bill on Thursdays and Sundays. Follow us on Facebook. Hope to see you at Spike's Lakeside 2.
Men, are you taking Viagra or Cialis for ED? ED should not stand for expensive drugs. If you're taking Viagra, talk with your doctor about Sildenafil. Now you could get the same active ingredient in Viagra in generic 20 milligram tablets for less than $2 each, saving over $30 per dose. Available at Vito's Pharmacy. Call us 219-228-7200 or visit us at vitospharmacy.com.
Vito's Pharmacy.
If you love the movie Steel Magnolias, you'll really love the play that inspired it. Set in a Louisiana beauty shop, Steel Magnolias is a hilarious, heartwarming play that follows the hopes, dreams, triumphs, and tragedies of 6 colorful characters. Steel Magnolias is playing now through March 25th at Theater at the Center in Munster. For tickets, call 219-836-3255. 836-3255 or visit theateratthecenter.com.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? 7-Eleven in the Calumet region. What time is it? It's time to go to Albert's. Hey, let's take a look first at weather, brought to you by our good friends at CertifiedElectrician.com. As you need electrical work done, get a union-based electrical contractor. I've used a number of them over the years, and you know what? It's pretty easy. Just call them up. Even if you're a smaller company, you just go to CertifiedElectrician.com. They'll hook you up with a union-based electrical contractor. And I say they bring the weather because I was just ripping on electricians, and I was bird dogging them here. Well, they were building over here in these studios, and I don't have any regrets about that. I know this thing was going to be built to the highest of specifications, but there were just little nuances I wanted as just a stickler. And we have them. And these are some of the best studios in the state of Indiana right here on the campus of Purdue Northwest. Mostly cloudy spotty drizzle and a high of 40 today. You can kind of see it a little bit gray outside. High of 48, milder, a little morning rain tomorrow, and then Saturday, a high of 44, mostly cloudy and a little rain. Let's take a look at what's going on in traffic. 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, it's a lot better than it has been. Still have a tightness at the merge. That should last about 12 blocks. Then Dan Ryan could be worse. Going into, let's see, Guaranteed Rate Field, which we're going to talk about here in just a little bit, is it's about 35th on in. Skyway Toll Road, Barman, I-65, US 30, Klein Avenue, all moving along pretty darn well. Hey, I've been wanting to get this guy on the air for some time. We're very proud of him. And here is my nephew, Craig Delo. Craig, how you doing, man?
Good.
It's a good morning, huh?
Oh, yeah.
How you like waking up this early?
I'm not used to it yet, but got to start getting used to it.
You know, Craig has been a little bit apprehensive that his uncle was going to come in and make fun of him and stuff. So I got the talk from my wife last night to play this straight up and not start sitting here and ripping on you like I could. So, Craig, we're very proud of you. Craig went from Munster High School, walked on at Indiana University, became quite the player there, and got drafted in the 9th round by the Chicago White Sox. How's your life been since you got drafted, man?
It's been all over the place. It went from not even expecting to be drafted in the round that I was, and luckily I got a call, and, the next 24 hours I was on a plane out of Midway to Phoenix to sign a contract with the White Sox. And then from there, 2 days later, I was in Great Falls, Montana, playing baseball in the Pioneer League. So it's been a lot. From there, I got the quick stint up in Low A with their affiliate out there in Kannapolis, North Carolina. And, it's just been back and forth all since the draft, and then went back and finished my degree at the Indiana University. Finished in December, and ever since then I've just been working out and preparing myself for spring training.
Where you working out around here?
Omni 41 and Bobby Morris, Morris Baseball Academy.
That was Gloria Morris yesterday. Is that his wife, Ryan? But Gloria Morris was on yesterday, and I do need to remind you guys about the Service League of Northwest Indiana. It's still selling tickets for their upcoming event, and I'll talk about that in a second. So you've been going over here to Omni and using the cages and throwing some weights around?
Yep. That's mostly what I do every day. Just wake up, I'll go over there, lift a little bit, throw and hit, and sometimes I'll have people throw to me. And I'm just really grateful for what we have here in the region.
Who's anybody I might know that was throwing to you?
Bobby mostly throws to me. I got my cousin Carson's over there, some other kids from Munster High School and Highland High School. So just a lot of they got a good thing going on over there.
Cousin Carson, he throws it in there, and you were just pounding them, or what?
No, mostly just watching. He doesn't really want me to swing and hit anything at him. So just standing in on pens.
Now Craig, let's I gotta share with you guys that I don't have a lot of regrets in my life, but until his senior year, I didn't really follow you around, but we followed you around last year, and was some of the best stuff. Remember when we went out to we saw you guys play Oregon State, and you hit a home run in right in the last inning, and you lost by 1. Then they won like 43 games in a row, and you guys had them on the ropes. What's the name of that big stadium there? That was a great moment. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, we were out in Surprise, Arizona, and that's where I believe it was the Texas Rangers and the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, the Rangers and Royals spring training. That's the nicest spring training facility I've ever been to.
Yeah, it was really nice. But yeah, we got to open our season. Indiana got to open our season up last year against Oregon State, who was #1 in the country. Lost 1-0 in the first game, and then played them later in the week, and I hit a home run, and we lost again. But both games we had them on the ropes. We just
had them on the ropes. I think in the 8th inning, you guys had 2nd and 3rd, and nobody out, and was unable to bring that across. And you could tell right then and there. I told Alexis when I sat down there at Surprise, Arizona, 2 innings into that game, I go, Indiana's a very good baseball team, and hope they'll make the NCAA like you did. But that's the best high school. That's the best college baseball team I'd ever seen play. Would you agree with that?
It would have to be between them and when we played Vanderbilt my sophomore year down in or actually in Nashville, Tennessee at their regional. Dansby Swanson, who would then be the #1 overall pick in the 2015 draft. That was just an amazing team. Him, Carson Fulmer, who's now with the Sox, and playing against them and in that environment was just really fun.
Let's go back to that, Craig. I'll take your guys' phone calls in a little bit. Anybody wants to talk to Craig, any young guys or anything, has any questions about this. Craig, you played high school baseball at Munster High School. How was that?
It was good. I went through the whole organization, playing freshman ball my freshman year, JV my sophomore year, and got some playing time my junior year on varsity. And then senior year, it was a lot of me and Coach Schinken just going in and working on what I wanted to do. And, I played basketball at Munster, and we had a really good team that year. But I knew if I wanted to progress as an athlete in the college level and make it to the next level, baseball was going to be that sport. And he helped me on the recruiting side, which at that time there wasn't many bites. Nobody really wanted to take a chance on the 6'4", 175-pound kid from Munster, Indiana. But luckily, with his connections to coaches in the state of Indiana, I got a potential walk-on spot at Indiana, and I took it and ran with it.
Now, I think there's, I guess, an important thing there. A lot of times people that think of, young men that get drafted in the 9th round and stuff, that all the way along, they're like the big stars all the way along. You're mentioning it there. You only got some playing time as a junior. You really didn't come through. People really didn't even notice you on the statewide scene until you were a senior.
Mm-hmm.
What took so long?
I don't know. It was probably me just growing into my body. In between my junior and senior year of high school, I grew 4 inches, and from there, I was trying to not be the tall, skinny kid, but actually put some meat on my bones. But it was kind of just stepping up to the plate and actually doing something instead of just sitting in the background.
You guys had a pretty good basketball team for 2-3 years there, and you were playing down low your senior year, and there was talk that you might go play basketball. What drew you back? You had to choose to really kind of concentrate. Are you 6'5" now?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6'5". You had chances to maybe go a smaller school and stuff. What was the deciding factor to go baseball?
Well, like I said, I just knew I was personally down in my heart. I was a better baseball player than I was a basketball player. Basketball is more of a role guy, but on the baseball field, I felt like I could take more control of a game, and that's what I wanted to be ever since I grew up, and tried to make the dream a reality.
We're talking to Craig Delo, my nephew. He finally came in. He's been dodging me for a long time. And I have specific directions from a number of family members to not bring up embarrassing things about Craig as when he was going up at St. Thomas More. Of course, Craig and my daughter came all the way up through St. Thomas More, so I know plenty of them. So we'll stay away from that. But, hey, Craig, I want to address something for I came out to Surprise, Arizona to see you guys play, and we kind of surprised you, Alexis and I did, right about now last year, I think.
Yeah,
it was right about now. And Craig was playing for IU, and I didn't recognize you because Craig, like he said, was a 6'4", 175-pound guy, and I hadn't seen him in a uniform in a couple of years, and you put on a lot of muscle. How'd you do that? And why'd you do that?
Well, first of all, in between my junior and senior year of college, I was lucky enough to get drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. And right after that, I went straight from here to Bloomington to talk to my coaches and kind of see what they had in store for me next year and see what I could go from there, see what my best route was. And, I wasn't even the weight I was there yet. So we talked about, how they'll give me all this, but, my main thing is to put on weight and get bigger and more physical. And that's what we did. We decided to defer the offer from the Pirates my junior year, which luckily enough I was able to get one my senior year from the White Sox. But that whole summer I just spent in Bloomington. Didn't play summer ball.
And you could have gone Cape Cod, right?
Yeah, didn't play much.
Everyone that can go to Cape Cod goes to Cape Cod, and I was really surprised that you decided against that.
Yeah.
Explain why.
So like I said, I wanted to get bigger and more physical, so stayed in Bloomington, worked the baseball camps for some money, stayed at my house, which I luckily still had, and just worked out every day. Didn't get to spend much time at home. I think I came home for the weekends, which is big over summer.
St. Thomas Fest.
Yeah, St. Thomas Fest. But yeah, I just stayed at school and worked out and put on 15, 20 pounds, and then the next year my average went down, but my power numbers definitely increased, which got me drafted where I did last year.
So last year for IU, you'd be going into the season right now. I think you guys would have been. I think you went to Hawaii last year, didn't you?
Yeah, for spring break we went for a week in Hawaii.
Yeah, went to Hawaii
nice.
with IU, and you guys had a pretty good team. But how many home runs you wind up hitting on the season?
With IU, 19.
19 home runs. So that's a lot in a college season. I think you were right up near the top of the Big Ten, and you started to get a lot of looks. Now, almost everybody knows a little bit about baseball. And one of the things I noticed, and I went and saw Craig play 4 games in Surprise, saw him in Michigan, Northwestern. We saw him in the NCAA tournament. And they weren't giving you a lot of good pitches. I mean, they were pitching around you almost every time you came up, unless they couldn't because there was a man, there's two, they just had to throw you something. You still managed to lift out 19 home runs, but part of it was that I noticed that you approached the plate maybe a little bit differently. Am I right on that?
Yeah. I was lucky to go to IU for 4 years, but at the same time, it was kind of a curse baseball-wise because now they have 4 years of scouting reports, and we play 60 games, 50, 60 games a year, and we usually have the same teams on the schedule every year, and all the coaches talk. I know we have scouting reports from other coaches and the NCAA that they give us, and they're very in-depth, and that's kind of came to bite me later on in my college career that, he's an aggressive kid, likes to swing early and often in the counts, and hunting for a fastball, and next thing you know, my first 2-3 pitches are curveballs and off the plate and in the dirt.
Oregon State, I don't even know if they threw you a fastball, unless the one that you jacked out on them, which they never get. Oregon State never gets jacked out on.
Yeah,
but you jacked one out of Surprise, Arizona. The thing I guess I want to point out to like kids that might be listening and stuff is that at some point you went from hitting a lot of doubles off against the wall into the alley to lifting them out of the park. It wasn't just a physical thing; it was a mental thing too. I think. Talk about that.
Yeah, my approach at the plate definitely changed. Like I said, from being the early free swinger to having to be a little strategic with when and where and how I would like to use my swing. It was definitely a mental change when you have a guy up there throwing hard. You don't have to swing as hard as you can. You just have to make good contact, and the ball will still go places. So yeah, it was just changing mentally and just like letting the change happen.
Let's talk about hitting with 2 strikes.
Well, we have a lot of different philosophies, whether it was Indiana's philosophy or the Chicago White Sox, and it basically just my philosophy is getting wide. I have in normal counts or counts on my head, I kind of have an open stance and not have a big leg kick, but like get my body moving toward the baseball. With 2 strikes, it's all about widening out and just making everything short, choking up on the bat. Not as much as Anthony Rizzo or anybody like that, but and a good inch off the knob's good enough for me, and just, trying to make everything short and quick to the ball.
Don't have a lot of time. Anybody who wants to talk to Craig, 219-845-1100. Craig was, of course, drafted in the 9th round by the Chicago White Sox. Let's talk a little bit about this family-wise. Your grandfather, Dwayne Deedlow Sr., and every one of your uncles and your dad and all of us, all the cousins, everybody, pretty much been Cubs fans. All the Rexes. I mean, you could go up and down all the Podcoles. I mean, you go up and down the lines. Everybody's a Cubs fan. How are you taking this?
Well, I think it all starts from me being a rebel from, declining an offer to Purdue and going to Indiana University first and foremost. And then that kind of got dipped my toe in the water. And then now being a Chicago White Sox player instead of a Cubs player, which I didn't really have a say in that. But, everybody's just been very supportive, want to see me do well, and hopefully I make it. But yeah, everybody's just been really supportive, luckily.
So really, if you guys add this up, I mean, this is a Purdue family through and through. Ronnie Rex is driving around right now in his black and gold shirt. So is my dad. Danny Brown's got his on. I mean, you can go up and down the line. There's been a Purdue family forever, and we were pretty excited when Purdue offered to you. And then Craig, if I remember correctly, declined it and said, well, I'd rather go walk on at IU than come to Purdue. So then you went, but you've got some Ramirez side that have some Sox fans.
Oh, yeah, my Uncle Chuck and my mom, growing up, my mom took us to Mother's Day so we could run around at on the base paths at the old Comiskey Park. So, yeah, just...
Lee's a Sox fan, right?
He's a Yankees fan.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I knew it was American League.
Exactly.
And I know Lee's listening right now, and I should know that, Lee. I'm sorry. That would be Craig's grandfather, and he's laying in bed listening right now because that's what he does. Hey, Craig, speaking of the Cubs, you were a freshman when Kyle Schwarber was on the Indiana University team. How did he treat you?
He was good. I mean, like I said, like I tell all people, he's one of the nicest people I've ever met. Just a really good teammate. He comes to the yard every day, and as soon as he steps in that clubhouse or the locker room, it's all baseball, it's all business, and then off the field, he's one of the nicest guys, like I said, I ever met. So, just a really good guy.
How do you handle? I mean, Craig, you were the up-and-coming freshman, and you walked on, and next thing you know, you're starting and playing as a freshman and so forth. He was a junior by that point. I think he left after his junior year. I mean, the guys don't always take to the young buck coming up. How do you handle that?
At that point, it's all everybody's just in it to win a championship, and he, him and some of the other players, Will Nolden, who was actually an outfielder, and Casey Smith, the coach's son, they took me under their wing once they saw that, I might be getting some playing time. So they're like, all right, well, let's get them ready. So
let's go to Zube on line one. Zube knows how to play a little baseball for Coach Schinken over the years. Zube, you're on with Craig Deedlow. What's up?
Hey, Jim. Hey, Craig. On behalf as a former Munster baseball alum, congratulations on all your success. It's really nice over the past few years. When a Munster baseball player goes on to a pretty big college school and furthermore gets drafted, I like following them. I have followed you the past couple of years, Googled your name, see what you're doing, stats and all that. It looks like you've come a long way. So congrats on all of that. One quick question. I'm just curious, how are you adjusting going aluminum to wood?
Thank you, by the way. And it's kind of it's a change. But it's my coaches say it takes 100 to 200 swings to get used to wood. And having since being drafted, I've never touched a aluminum bat since. There's definitely some growing pains. Especially having to buy your own bats. I think I broke probably 10 to 11 bats this year, which get pretty pricey after the first 5. So
are you hitting bats?
Well, that's just a occupational hazard.
Exactly. Trying to find some write-offs for my taxes.
What kind of lumber are we swinging size-wise?
It's a 33.5 with a drop too, so that makes it a 31.5.
What do you swing there? Zube? You swing something bigger, don't you?
No, it just depends what kind of meat we got on the mound that day for our game. If it's a slow pitcher, I usually go a 34 inch. If it's a guy that could bring it, I usually go 33. I feel I get more arm extension with the shorter bat.
Yeah.
I don't get jammed as much.
Are you hitting wood over here at Omni?
Yeah.
Breaking bats there too?
Luckily, no. Especially if I'm swinging off a tee, it'd probably be pretty embarrassing if I broke a bat off a tee. But yeah.
Well, we'll actually be out there. We rent Bobby's facility out on Sundays from 10:30 to 11:30.
Okay.
So maybe I'll see you up there. I'm not throwing at you though.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. Talk to you. Thanks a lot. Craig Delo, 9th round, Chicago White Sox. Craig, what's your plans right now? What happens with you?
Just getting myself ready for spring training. I leave March 6th, fly out of Midway to Phoenix, and then as soon as I touch down, it's, getting paid to play, so it's all business from there.
You spent a lot of time up in Great Falls, Montana. A lot of White Sox players that have played over the years spent a lot of time there, spent a year or two up there.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like, being away, and all of a sudden you're in Indiana, you get a phone call, and within 24 hours you're in Great Falls, Montana. What was that culture shock like?
It's definitely a big difference. You go out, well, I have mixed feelings about it. There's absolutely nothing to do out there. I mean, the town closes at 10 o'clock, and our games don't end till 11. But, luckily we had host families out there, and I was blessed to have a really nice host family who, would stay up and go to every game at home and stay up and cook for us and gave us a vehicle to use. So me and my roommate were really blessed. But besides for not having much to do, I mean, I was lucky enough to not have much to do because you're out there for one reason, and that's to get out of there. So it definitely kept your mind right. You go to the yard every day at noon and don't leave till 11 at night. But
I could tell that
you
didn't have that much to do, because when you were at IU and I'd text you, I'd get a text 2-3 days later back. And in Great Falls, Montana, it was instantaneous. Craig Delo, we're very proud of you. And one other thing, you got some young kids listening right now, and a lot of them are young baseball players. What do you say to them?
Whatever, the politics there in baseball now, you can get through it. Just keep your mind right, and whenever somebody tells you can't do it, just, push them to the side, ignore them, and keep doing whatever you're doing.
There it is. Craig Delo, thanks for coming in. Craig, that wasn't too bad, was it?
No, not that at all.
I was warned by several different very strong women in our family. I was. Craig, we're really proud of you. Thanks for coming in, man. All right, stay right there. I want to take a picture real quick before you go. I'll be right back. Frank Mervan is up next here on the Voice and Face of the Region.
This is Pete Corellis with Corellis Roofing. Over the past months, you've heard on WJOB some of the names of the top roofing and sheet metal craftsmen our industry has to offer. Because of these dedicated craftsmen and many others at Corellis Roofing, we have been fortunate to have had the opportunity to continue to grow our business. We are currently looking for roofing installers at all experience levels. If you are interested in a career, not just a job, if you're interested in medical benefits, not just for you, but for your entire family, if you're interested in an excellent retirement plan, then Corellis Roofing could be the company for you. All applicants must pass a pre-employment drug test and random drug testing throughout their employment. If you are interested in becoming a member of our team, please apply online at Corellis.com or in person at 1333 169th Street in Hammond. Thank you.
Everything Italian. That's what you get at Giuseppe's Restaurant in Cherville.
Hi, this is Joe from Giuseppe's Everything Italian. Here today to let our friends and listeners to WJOB know about the few things that we have added. We offer catering now, catering for your party, family event, or even for businesses. Just give us a call at Giuseppe's at 322-0011 and ask for Joe. Thank you.
Giuseppe's Everything Italian is located at 1000 Eagle Ridge Drive in Cherville, just north of the Showplace Theaters, 219-322-0011, or visit Giuseppe'sPizza.net.
If you've been arrested or convicted of a crime in the state of Indiana, listen up. You need legal counsel. Doesn't it make sense to call an attorney who not only knows the law, but who knows the system? I'm Nicole Bennett, a former deputy Lake County prosecutor. I do know the system and how to help you with your criminal case. From traffic tickets to cleaning up your driving record to obtaining specialized driving privileges under the new 2015 Indiana law and misdemeanor and felony charges. And as many of you have experienced, I can even have your criminal record erased. Call me at Westland and Bennett in Cherville, 219-440-7550. Again, 219-440-7550.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? 7:37 in the Calumet region. What time is it? It's time to go to Albert's. Hey, 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford coming up the gut of the Southland is 115th to 103rd is tight. And Dan Ryan, it's about normal. It's got some slowness on the southern end, and then it's bad guaranteed rate field on in. Skyway, Toll Road, Borman, I-65, they're all moving along pretty darn well. And traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Let's take a look at what's going on in the weather. High 40. It's 32 degrees right now here at the Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest. And then tomorrow, high today, 40, mostly cloudy, spotty drizzle, but nothing like we've had recently. Same thing tomorrow, a little morning rain, a high of 48. And then Saturday, a high of 44. You know, I just got to tell you how proud I am of having my nephew on just now. And I want to just say to everybody in the family that was worried I was just going to bring him in here and make fun of him and rip on him, I handled that like a normal adult. And I want to point that out to every one of the of family members that doubted whether I was able to do that. I do want to point out to my wife of 26 years, though, that Craig's going to be playing in spring training and we're not going. And I just want you to know that at some point that's going to change, but we'll see. I've been working it. I've been working the wife, and what happened is Johnny Selzider, a buddy of mine, he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, dude, why don't we just find out when he's playing one weekend, get off of work on Friday, we'll fly out, we'll watch him play Saturday and Sunday, and we'll come out Sunday night." And I'm like, what a great idea. So I may be out there just yet to see Craig play in some spring training games, but I'm working it, baby, working it. Hey, 740 in the Calumet region. Hey, this spot is purchased by the North Township trustee, Frank Mervan, who I'll be in here in just a minute. But right now, I have a consultant that works with him in the office, and that is Isha. How you doing?
I am well, Jim. How are you? It's always great to see you.
Okay, let me adjust your microphone there. And Isha, what do you do in North Township?
I specifically work on the No More Secrets campaign that was started last year. It's a campaign to end sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, specifically in North Township, Lake County area. As many people may or may not know, Indiana was cited as being number 2 in the number of child reported cases in the country. Utah is number 1. And Indiana is number 2. Now, that might sound really alarming, and it is, but we're also number 2 because we have so many great people like Ellis Dumas from DCS and Fairhaven that really helps people come forward with their disclosure. So we are number 2 because people actually feel comfortable enough to come forward and say that this is happening. So it's horrible, but at the same time, it lets us know that we're doing our job because people are coming forward.
One of the things, if you guys have been following this, has been that Isha and some folks went around to some of the Hammond schools, and one of the most powerful moments in a while was when they started going to the Hammond schools and doing the play acting and telling kids that they could come forward and explaining what inappropriate touching was. And then, if I remember correctly, the number out of the Hammond schools that stepped forward after these totaled 76 people. Is that right?
73.
73.
And just to clarify, we went to all of the schools in North Township.
Okay.
Yes, so we went to Munster schools, East Chicago schools, Hammond schools, Whiting schools, and a total of 73 children came forward, which means that their claims were substantiated and they were reported to DCS. But we probably had over 100 kids come forward, revealing some type of secret, but 73 of those were actually substantiated, and that happened in 9 days. And so in 9 days, we spoke to, I don't know, probably 11,000 students, and 73 were substantiated. And from there, we decided, with the help of Senator Frank Mervan and Senator Mark Mesmer, and as well as Representative Julie Althoff, we went to the Capitol and we told them about this work that we were doing. And Senate Bill 355, it passed last year, which mandates every school district in the state of Indiana to teach children about child sexual abuse. And that will begin in this fall of 2018. So if you are a school teacher, if you are a school superintendent in the state of Indiana, it is no longer an option to teach children about this. In 9 days, we had 73 kids come forward in one region. Can you imagine how many kids are suffering in silence? And with this new campaign with Me Too, and adults coming forward like never before, we cannot forget that our most vulnerable population are children, and we need to step up for children. So we are now in our second year. Last year, we went to all of the schools and we spoke to the students, but we realized we need to equip adults in this area. And so this year we focused on educators, Hammond School District, Mary Beth, and Adam and Terry. They have been amazing. We actually trained all of the school teachers, counselors, even bus drivers in Hammond School District. Dr. Joe at the Catholic Diocese with Bishop Hines, they allowed us to come in and we trained everyone in the Catholic Diocese. And on March 19th, we are opening up our symposium once again at Purdue Northwest. Purdue has been amazing. And Purdue School of Education, Purdue School of Counseling, and Purdue School of Nursing, or College of Nursing, they have agreed to have all of their undergraduate and graduate students trained for No More Secrets on March 19th. So it's open to the community from 4 to 7 p.m. on March 19th, and you will learn more about Senate Bill 355. You will also hear from a panel to discuss more about child sexual abuse. And if you want to be trained with Darkness to Light training, it's absolutely free. You can register on Eventbrite and look us up by going to Eventbrite, No More Secrets, North Township. And, you know, Jim, I'm not sure because I know that this is not your necessary expertise, child sexual abuse, but you're always so good at having us on here because you care so much about kids. But it's even more important for people to come out this year because there has been a new movement called pedosexuals, right? And PEDOSEXUAL, and it sounds exactly what it is. It is pedophiles that are trying to normalize their behavior. And they are saying to be attracted to a child is normal behavior. And there is a movement called pedosexuality where they are trying to make their, disgraceful behavior normal in the world. And so there's a movement for people to recognize pedosexuality as a normal behavior in adult and child sexual relationship.
There's a lot of movements right now.
Right.
And when you first came through and talked to me, I don't know, a year and a half ago, and we had you on, and I was, I'm like, wow, this is great. I'm glad you guys are doing this. But when you first came through and went through all the schools, I don't know as if those moments actually got the kind of attention that they should deserve because you have 73 substantiated claims in North Township. That means, there's a chance right now that somebody's listening that was one of these pedophiles that got snared in that. And we and we're not able to talk about them directly because of the, I guess, the proprietary nature and that these involve minors and so forth. But there were a few pedophiles taken off the streets here in very quietly in North Township, and very powerful moments when these 73 kids came through. But now there's a lot more going on from when you started. Me Too, how has that changed things?
I feel like Me Too, if anything, has given adults courage to come forward. It has really, for us, it has not directly impacted our campaign at all. Sometimes I do feel like it has overshadowed the need to really focus on children. Last time we talked about there needing to be a Me Too for Kids campaign, because I really do believe that a lot of these stories that are coming forward, that they are true, that they are substantiated, but they are adults, and adults can take care of themselves. We have choices in the decisions that we choose to make, and when people report, that is great. But we cannot forget about children who sometimes don't have a choice, who sometimes are victimized because they are vulnerable, and an adult needs to be responsible for these kids, and we need to stand up for kids just as much as we are standing up for adults. And I think we've seen that in Alabama with the last election of
the senator.
Yes. And we got him out of office. And I think a lot of that was because he was a child molester. So there are small things happening in the movement, but I do wish that this was as public as the Me Too campaign for adults, because kids are our most vulnerable population. And Frank has been amazing at bringing this forward. This Friday, Myra Rodriguez and myself, as well as Sandy Runkle, we're all trained facilitators in Darkness to Light. It's a 2.5-hour training, and we go across North Township, and we train adults on how to recognize child sexual abuse. And this Friday, we are going to have 12 people trained by Prevent Child Abuse Indiana, so more and more people can get this training readily available. And Frank in the North Township has paid for all of those people. And so the Catholic Diocese, they're sending 7 people. Purdue Northwest, they're actually going to have in-house trainers. They also paid for 2 students to be trained in this curriculum, but we're trying our absolute best. And when you bring me on the radio, Frank allows me to come on the radio, more and more people can hear about this topic. But for a really long time, it was a secret. No one wants to discuss this issue. It makes them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I remember the first time you came in on the air, and Frank didn't tell me what we were going to talk about. And I'm like, I honestly was kind of, I don't know as if I'd necessarily really talked about child sexual abuse on the air. And I've been on the air thousands of hours, tens of thousands of hours, and never one of those was ever. And you guys came in, and I'm like, I don't even know how to talk about this. I mean, it's so deeply disturbing, and there's people that are listening that have gone through child sexual abuse. There are, and like, man, I'm not making any jokes like I normally do, because it is a lot of cases, it's been pushed under the rug for people that may be listening who are 50, 60 years old right now that got abused sexually when they were kids and never really dealt with it.
You will be surprised. So when we were going to the schools and speaking to the children, how many adults were coming forward and telling us their stories? Or when we go to some of the schools and we're talking about the training, how many adults have to step out the room and say, I can't do this, or this happened to me, but my mom or my dad told me never to speak about this again. So we're also, we're really mindful that this is also a mental health crisis as well, because there have been adults suffering in silence for years. And now that this is coming to the surface, it's also allowing them to have the healing that they need. But some people don't want to talk about this. And part of the issue is because it's not the stranger on the street. This might be the uncle that they see every year at the family reunion, or in my case, a female member of your family that you have to see every Thanksgiving. And so how do you talk about these issues when they're so prevalent right in our family? And so the biggest stigma against child sexual abuse is that it's someone you don't know. And the truth is, more than likely, it will be a neighbor. It will be possibly your family member, or even in some cases, it could be a teacher or a member of the faith-based community. So I think that we don't want to discuss it, because once we discuss it, we also have to discuss the dysfunction that happens in families. And many people don't want to talk about their family dysfunction. We like to laugh about it, but you know, the crazy uncle that comes around and everyone acts like he's not there. Frank just joined us. And that's what pretty much happens. So Frank Morvan is here, and he is the reason why we're doing this campaign. So Frank, turn it over to you.
No, wait a second. You just did what my job is. Look at that. That is a strong female coming into the WJOB studio.
Has she hit you up that she's very interested in doing a show at some point?
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, we do shows on all sorts of stuff. Bishop Noel will be in here. Do Ray Candelaria. I mean, we're looking for talent that wants to do shows on Facebook Live in the day, and some of them are getting pretty popular, of notoriety and so forth. We're looking for talent. Nisha certainly has that. But I want to hit one more thing before we go to Frank, okay?
Okay.
Larry Nassar. I say that name, and you just, I don't know if you blushed or you just, you kept your smile. You hear that name, what do you think?
Hundreds of young girls who are probably suffering because of the years that he was allowed to train hundreds of young gymnasts. And at the same time, here was something that they were so passionate about, and probably just the thought of something that they once, imagined that they can be, Olympic gold medalists. And today they don't even want to go to the same thing that they were passionate about. And that's what happens. A lot of times this can happen in youth groups. The very thing that you were so passionate about, you wanted to be a dancer, but someone decided to take that thing and make it ugly and abuse you. So whenever I hear that name, and, I always try to keep a smile, my heart tears up, because not only that, I think about the parents that trusted this man with their child and what they must be going through. A lot of times parents start to blame themselves. So it's a horrible thing. And again, when we have our children in after school programs, we need to make sure that we are vigilant, that these coaches understand I speak to my child and we have an open relationship, that they will come to me if you dare touch my child, and they will tell me. So my heart goes out to all of those young people that were victimized, and it's just a really unfortunate situation.
All right, let's look on the other side of that. Don't worry about Frank. All right, I know Frank. We'll bring him in. I know you want to bring him in, and he hires you and stuff. Just relax. He'll be all right. Hey,
we work together.
Yeah, this is an important moment in history right now, because this discussion is big. I read that article in People magazine, and I would suggest that to anybody who just likes reading good articles, but also has any sort of interest in child sexual abuse. The Allie Reisman article in People tells all about her life and what she's going through, and how the encounters with Larry Nassar really kind of ripped her up, and she is just reeling still, and is living at home and takes hot baths and is trying to heal from the whole thing. And she had just kind of kept it underneath, and now it's coming out. She feels a lot better and stuff, but it's still very raw for her. But it's very raw for America right now. And a lot of the, I guess a lot of the focus has been on the Me Too campaign and the sexual harassment. You think that it can kind of turn the other way and go to child sexual abuse?
Yes, and I believe this issue with Larry has brought children more to the forefront, especially because how many kids were affected by this. So I do believe that this is a moment in history where we can now turn our attention to children. And you're right. People don't understand this has long-term consequences. One of the things that the North Township realized with Frank is that people who suffer in silence, sometimes they turn to other addictions, the opiate crisis that we're dealing with right now. Perhaps people are trying to suppress some of their issues by, drowning themselves with drugs. Or when you hear about people who, just randomly committed suicide, you don't know the secrets that they were dealing with. And as everyone probably knows, I am a survivor of child sexual abuse. And I cannot sit here and act like when I get in my car that those thoughts don't come back to my mind. But I realize that this is bigger than me. And I thank God that my faith keeps me strong. But this is something that does not go away. It's not something you can put a Band-Aid on it and say, oh, I talked about it. And no, I go to therapy. I have conversations with the therapist about my issues to this day. And that happened almost 23 years ago. It affects many people in their personal relationships. If you are married to someone who has been a victim of child sexual abuse, it comes up every day, probably in your marriage. It probably comes up in your most intimate moments. And so we need to recognize, like you said, that this is also a mental health crisis. The young girls that came forward, they are going to have a long journey of healing, especially because it's been so public, right? It's one thing to be able to heal in private, but these young girls, their testimonies, everything was front page in the newspaper. So now it's like, how do people imagine me? What is the stigma that is associated with me? Because a lot of times you blame yourself. Did I do anything wrong? Did I, allow this to happen to me because maybe I was too close to him, or I should have told my parents earlier? So a lot of it has to do with just your own healing process, and it's hard.
She is Isha Haley. She's in charge of the No More Secrets campaign for North Township. This is a North Township show, and it'll be March 19th from 4 to 7. Which is, how do people register, or how do they go about this? And explain exactly what the program is again.
Okay, so March 19th is our annual symposium, the 2008 No More Secrets Symposium. Last year we had over 200 people, and the purpose is to really educate the community on how to recognize child sexual abuse. Also with Senate Bill 355 that our amazing Senator Frank Mervan helped champion. We will also discuss that and its implications on the school district. And so we will have a panel discussion. We will also be honoring our legislators that helped champion this bill. And then if you want to be trained with No More Secrets and Darkness to Light, we will be offering a free training as well on Darkness to Light. So you can go to Eventbrite, North Township, 2018, No More Secrets, and you can register absolutely free. And if you are a Purdue student in the School of Education, Counseling, or Nursing, we will also be doing a training specifically for you. So thank you.
And that is from 4 to 7?
Yes.
And what is it? What kind of day is that? Is that
Monday?
Monday, March 19th.
And we will be providing food. And if you need continuing education credits, they will also be available for school counselors and anyone else.
It's a big issue.
Right.
I mean, not that they wouldn't come in otherwise, but many wouldn't. But if you get those CEs, they can get them.
Right.
Frank Mervan has joined us. He knows when to stand down when you get somebody that's very passionate and very knowledgeable. Frank, this thing took off.
It did. As it was going on, I was, as the trustee for 15 years or being involved with the township, I recognized right away that the collaboration from the whole community at large and the partners that joined us, such as the Northwest Indiana Times, such as Dave Kapp in the U.S. Justice Department, such as Mary Beth Bonaventura from Child Protective Services, these were people that were saying the impact of child sexual abuse in our community is no longer going to be tolerated. And to draw a clear focus on what we were trying to accomplish when we went to the schools is, one, we wanted to make sure that kids knew that there were safe people that they could tell and that they could trust, such as their administrators and teachers. And also when Fairhaven, our advocate group that joined us, when they talked and when Isha talked and other survivors talked, it brought to light that you're not alone in this struggle and that there is a way out of it. And our clear path is to be able to talk to kids and now to adults, to be able to talk about the education of what predators will do, how predators will push the boundaries, how they'll ask you not to tell an adult, what is a predator's MO or what are they trying to do? It's no longer the perspective of a stranger. More than likely, it's someone a child knows, someone in the home or someone who's trusted in the school or a coach or a doctor or a physician. So what we try and do is we try to educate the children about basically what is inappropriate and what is appropriate relationships with an adult. And it is done very, very tactfully. It is done under these presentations were done professionally by people who are certified to do so. And the other aspect of it, which David Kapp and Ryan Holmes hit the nail on the head, is internet safety. And the Justice Department, we talked to Thomas Kirsch, who also said that he will join us, and we're going to, as far as the campaign goes, we're going to go back into the schools and talk about internet safety. Throughout all of this, the most profound moment that I had, other than the children coming forward, and obviously that was very emotional, and seeing them go through that process and coming up to Isha and saying, I have a secret also, or going to the advocates or Child Protective Services, it was heart-wrenching, but you knew on the other end that child was now getting help. But the most moving experience that I had is when I would follow Ryan Holmes from the U.S. District Attorney, I would ask, how many of you, and these would be middle school kids and high school kids, how many of you have seen, passed, or know someone who's passed a naked picture online or on their phone of another student? 85 to 90% of the kids would go up. So, if you're an adult and you have a school child, that could be a staggering statistic that is awakening and that can challenge you to the core that exists. When we were growing up, people passed notes saying, I like you. Do you want to meet at the lunchroom? Now, with the internet and with the phones, it has taken it to the next level. And what that does is that puts kids at vulnerable positions because you don't know who gets that picture. And then where the U.S. Justice Department comes in is because it's commerce, but they come in because people get those pictures and then they have kids do bad things for them. A predator or someone who's evil will say, hey, you're going to do X, Y, and Z for me, or I'm going to share this picture with the school, or I'm going to share this picture with your family. And so there's a vulnerability position that kids are in when they think they're just communicating and it's the new normal. So all of those things need to be addressed, and when we were in the schools, we did that. So there's a lot to it.
There's a lot to it, and there's a lot more we could talk about. March 19th, 4 to 7. Go to start at the North Eventbrite.
Right, Eventbrite. And before Jim goes on commercial, if you're a parent, I just want to say, and this has happened to your child, and I know Frank wants you to know this as well, that it's not your fault. Do not blame yourself. There's a lot of things that parents wish that they would have known but didn't know. And I say that because my mom recently passed away. And I know for a long time she probably blamed herself. So if you are a parent and this is happening, come out to the symposium and find a way that you can help your child. We will have mental health America there. We would also have regional mental health. So if you are a parent, please do not blame yourself.
March 19th.
Come out.
March 19th. You'll hear more from Isha in the future. Purdue Northwest up next. See you guys.
Flu season got you down? Just left the doctor.